And welcome to Corporate Conservatoire. I'm actually at Birmingham Airport. I'm just about to fly out to Slovakia to join Simon, who's working there at the moment. And we hope in this film to give you a backstage view of a conductor's life on the road. So stay with us. Relaxing in a bit of downtime.
Downtime? I don't think so. Can't work out the blessed chords that I want.
Is this one of your compositions?
Yeah. Music can be very frustrating as well as very exciting. Sometimes you get chords and they all fit together like these do. When it comes to you in a flash. Or like this one. Without the wrong note. See? But then today, that works, but I want. And I can't work out what the next chord I want.
Excuse me.
Oh, yes, of course.
So, I've left Simon to the rehearsal and you might hear the orchestra in the background in a few minutes. Just wanted to reflect a little bit on the rehearsal that I just sat through and really to highlight the fact that quite often in a rehearsal like that you'll have parties coming together to work together that have literally never met each other before they stand on stage. So in this case you have the orchestra, you have the 4 vocalists, you have the separate band, and you also have the engineer who's also the arranger and who's there kind of liaising with the singers. And then you've got Simon in the middle as the conductor, who is really the glue that's holding them together. He's the one bringing them together to work together as they need to, but in such a short space of time. There was no pre-meeting, there's no planning as such in terms of emails saying what's going to happen, etc, etc. They come together on the day and they create what they create, and I think that's a really good example of leadership in action. show day in the afternoon, and Simon has a new shirt on. So I think that might mean his bag has arrived.
Oh, thank the Lord, yes, the bag has arrived. There's a bit of a tale to be told. It's been on a big grand tour of Europe, but yes, 3 days later, it's actually arrived, so I can rest easy.
And just in time for the show with your show outfit in there, so that's fantastic. Yeah. So it is show day.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a normal routine? What's the routine for you as the conductor preparing for the concert tonight?
Well, normally on a show day here with the Slovak Sinfonietta, we would rehearse first thing. We'd have what we call general rehearsal at 9:30. We play through everything that we'll play in the afternoon in order, no breaks, no more rehearsing. This is like, you know, a full-on dress rehearsal. Off we go, and then we meet each other for the concert at 7 o'clock. Today, a little different because we've had to set up a stage. We've got sound equipment. We've got various bits of amplification for guitars, etc. So we're rehearsing at 3. Again, the process will be the same. It'll be general rehearsal straight through. Worth pointing out that general rehearsal means not really rehearsing. So the orchestra won't be expecting for me to stop and say this is wrong, this is wrong. Rehearsal's all done.
So that's quite different than, say, in the UK, where a final rehearsal like that, you would potentially do what we would call a full rehearsal, which will be stopping and starting and rehearsing bits that need fixing. But here, so let's say in different countries, there's different ways to approach things.
Perhaps in the UK, we don't get this amount of time to rehearse. Contrary to what we believe as concert goers, or many concert goers might not appreciate, is the fact that generally speaking, the routine, as I think I've said earlier in some of these clips, we meet at 2:30, we go after till 5:30, concerts at 7:30. So you do have to keep stopping and rehearse because it's rehearsal show feel. But sometimes we do in the UK have that option on a final rehearsal that we won't play through everything. We'll just cover the difficult bits and to keep people fresh for the concert. But this just kind of highlights what it's like when you are a travelling musician, especially a conductor. You are presented with a multifaceted approach across the globe. And
so you have to just, I guess, ensure that you know the local customs and even culture.
Oh, yes, for sure. You have to be very, very acutely aware. As a conductor, you're under a microscope all of the time. The way you dress, the way you speak, the way you interact with musicians and management, that needs to be very different. Management have brought you there because of your reputation, or because you've been recommended, or because you've been to the orchestra before. But you have to then, engage with players on a different level because you may not have met them before, so you have to make those relationships very, very quickly. However, what you always do, and my particular vibe, if you like, is that on my trip in from the airport with whoever's come to pick me up from the orchestra, it's at that point I will ask the questions. Culturally, what happens in musically in this country? Do they want to be directed? Do they want to be encouraged? I mean, it's always the best plan to encourage, yes. But sometimes people expect you to be the conductor. They expect you to be that person who will say, no, we are going to do it like this. But yeah, first port of call always though is with the orchestral manager and with the team of people who manage the orchestra. You ask them. And the other key relationship for any conductor, just like it would be for a chief executive, is with your right-hand man, your number 2. Whoever your number 2 is in your organisation. For me, I'm only the first among equals because my equal here is the concertmaster, the leader of the orchestra. If I have his ear, he can then disseminate anything I want to the rest of the orchestra, and I'll get what I need.
So that's an incredibly important relationship. And so I guess part of your challenge is knowing how to broker those relationships in a very quick time.
Yeah, I mean, the relationship with the concertmaster for me is quite often not so problematic because that was my previous job. I sat there, so I know that job inside out. And I think this highlights that quite often, from the point of view of the people that you're working with, that you're directing as a leader, if they know that you have a track record of doing the job that they do, and you've worked your way through it, you've learned the business from the ground up. You're not just coming clean in at the top to their business. Although I am coming clean at the top with different orchestras at different times. But they give you that respect and that credit. And it's, as I said, especially when they find out that you've been a player yourself.
So here we are in a beautiful chateau.
Oh yes.
Absolutely beautiful. You get treated very well as a conductor. You meet some amazing people. You get ferried around often in limousines, etc., etc. What's not to love? But there are some challenges, right?
Oh yeah, there are some challenges.
Tell
You're
us.
absolutely right. We are currently sitting in this fantastic chateau just on the outskirts of Zilina in the north. I get treated superbly well by them and many other organisations that I work for. As you said, they ferry you around, they show you the sights if there's time. But I think that the challenges are, it's very lonely quite often to be on the road with these things if you have a family, and as you're probably aware, I do have a family, a wife and 2 children. And a dog, the greatest dog in the world, I have to say. And but there are many kind of cultural challenges. I mean, orchestrally, you're dealing with musicians on, as I've said, I think previously, on one day you might have the greatest orchestra, on the next day not so great. You always have to be the person on the stage that has the most amount of enthusiasm. Otherwise, you'll get nothing back from your players. It should be a leader, somebody who shows are willing to be, to use a military term, the first man over the top. That's the kind of get-go attitude that you need from a leader. And you can't expect, as I said, that team to give you what the energy that you need to perform as I do. I can't expect that energy unless I'm putting in a shift myself. If I don't come off the stage out of breath, even though I haven't played a wind instrument or I haven't sung anything, then I haven't done my job properly. I need to be sweating and I need to have put in a shift.
So that's a little bit about some of the challenges.
Mm-hmm.
But if you could really summarise, what's the best thing about being a conductor?
Oh Lord, there are so many great things. Travel, meeting people, broadening of your mind. It's endless. But I suppose if you really want me to distill down to one thing, it's not about the music. It's not about the composers. It's not about the soloists. It's not about the fancy concert halls or the nice dinner afterwards where you sit down with a sponsor or whatever. My working day as a conductor, and more importantly, my team's working day, my orchestras that I get to deal with, our working day finishes with a round of applause, and that you can't buy that kind of payment at the end of a day. A secretary who works in a bank meeting, greeting people as they come in, nobody applauds as she leaves or he leaves at the end of the day. Nobody applauds the chief executive out the door at the end of the day. But with us, in the arts, especially obviously with music and drama, theatre, ballet, opera, we get the adulation of our audience. They not only do they buy tickets for our product, but at the end of the day, we have a round of applause, and that, for me, is possibly the proudest, and the thing that makes you the most humble, I think, about what we do.
So the rehearsal is just about to start. You can probably hear the orchestra in the background. It's an absolutely beautiful day. The sun has literally just gone in behind a cloud, but it's absolutely gorgeous. The setting is gorgeous. So let's see how the rehearsal goes. minutes to go to show. How was rehearsal?
Rehearsal was great. Very, very good. And just.
Who decides what you're going to wear? Because you wear different stuff, don't you?
Yeah, I decided myself what I wear. So.
You're not really a traditional tails kind of guy.
No, not really. I tend to experiment a little with my outfits. I think a lot of that stems from having worked in the kind of crossover where people wear all manner of wonderful things. And they're really different, actually. So, two choices here now. I'm going to go either double velvet, so let's give this a try, see what we think. I think this is going to look quite good with the red. Let's give this a go. That is spectacular. What do you think?
Yeah, it's looking good.
My other option.
But then your piece de la résistance is what?
Is this beautiful vintage 70s velvet jacket, and what better to be wearing for an ABBA show than this. This is pretty spectacular, to be honest.
Oh yeah, I'm loving that.
So there.
Very smart, sir.
Pretty much covers it.
I like the cufflinks.
You like the cufflinks are rather special. If you want to come zoom in on those,
Yeah.
they have a little.
It's all about the detail, though, isn't it?
Yeah. I think it is. Personally, I think it's very much about the detail. I think if you're going to do something, you should do it. You really should do it properly.
Okay, so very quickly, just show you where the venue is. Literally, we're that close to it. There's everybody gathering. So bye for now.
I was defeated in one Dámy a páni, dobrý večer. You're all standing, so you must have enjoyed this wonderful, wonderful concert. All I did was wave my arms around for these people to sing and for my wonderful musicians to play. Please, please clap as loud as you can for these people. To say, would you like some more?
Yes.
Right, we have one more. The only thing is that the notes are very, very, very tiny, really small, so I have to get my special glasses out to be able to see the notes. I hope this will be fine. My special ABBA glasses for the notes. Thanks, man. That was great. Well played. Really fantastic.
So here we are the morning after the night before. So it's a bit shaky. We're in the car on the way to Bratislava. So, Simon, reflections on last night?
Hello. Well, it was a great concert. As I've said before, I think I said yesterday about the fuel that keeps us going as musicians is applause. And last night we must have done a pretty good job because we had a standing ovation 3 times. So yeah, it was a great show. The singers and the band were fantastic. The orchestra, as ever, were off the chart good. Yeah, and the weather stayed fine, which is always a bonus when you're playing outdoors. But now we're just, as Andrea just said, we're on our way to Bratislava. We're dropping in to see my very good friend, the British ambassador. He's become a very big supporter here with my work in Slovakia, and I'm very grateful for that. He wants to put together possibly a concert later this year, a British style proms type concert to promote all things British, just in case we need that support following the unmentionable. Yeah, so and then home, which would be great. See my children, see our children, and catch up with the dog. So we'll see you later. Bye bye.